I love our special guest.
Yeah, yeah. I got Data Cat here to help me out today.
That's classic. Classic. How you going today?
Good, good. How are you?
Updates from me, just updates from me. I first of all want to say I want to apologize because I have not created a skill. I know that I was meant to, but I did a lot of research. Like I asked ChatGPT a lot about skills and what you could do with skills and the extension of skills and what skills means. And it's pretty big. Like it's pretty big. One of the biggest things that it told me, and I haven't tried it, and maybe you probably have, is that you can use skills to set off other skills. And
Oh yeah.
and that is crazy, right? Like that is crazy. That's when you're like really building a system of digital workers. But I mean, maybe I mean, it looks like you've been doing a lot more than me, from what I've seen on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I've been doing it nonstop. I mean, it's like
Right.
the only thing I'm doing these days. That
Wow. Okay.
the thing the modularity is amazing because what
Yeah.
I've got is like I've got a bunch of solver skills that'll iterate. And so
Right.
what I've got is I've got an input skill that basically will take from a screenshot or an Excel file. It'll pull the input data and the target data out of that resource, set them up in the skill, and then I've got a reporting skill where I've got a structure of what I like the system to output after it's finished solving the problem. So it'll
Yeah.
it'll give a statement of the problem, it'll give the input data, the output data. It'll show every iteration um, of the loop and what changed in that iteration.
Mm.
It'll validate row by row. It'll then explain the lessons it learned and saved into memory. And I can use that reporting module on anything I create, to solve anything at that point. I can say, just call the core reporting skill, and it just bam, it just does it. And it so one of the things that was really neat, the last basically I've been working on like nonstop since last night is um there are like 2,500 skills that are now out, in the wild that you can download. And the question is, are they any good? So I said, let me build. I saw Jared Blumenthal on his YouTube channel build a skill to evaluate other skills. So I said, well, let me try that. And I got way, way down the rabbit hole. And I've now got this 5 module skill that goes through and checks um, compatibility with the Anthropic standards. It does a 5 level security test. It does um, all sorts of best practices tests, and then provides a weighted decision report in terms of should you install this, should you not install it, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, the stuff you can create and then just iterate on. I was actually just wrestling with getting my GitHub CLI set up in Claude so that I
Hmm.
could I could push it for public use. But yeah, it's crazy what you can do with this stuff now.
Yes, I wanna learn more. And I want to also get your view on like what does this all mean? Because I think this is the democratization of automation within these AI clients, basically. Like this is sort of a sign of where a lot of these other things might go, right? And if I was to simplify it down, am I correct in saying, and this is what ChatGPT told me as well, is basically you're able to pre-prompt massive pre-prompts and sort of stack them. You can stack them one after the other, or you can just go and call these pre-prompts at any point in time, and it will just go and pick up that skill. It will go and pick up that prompt and then go and use it. And
Exactly.
because one of the things that annoys me about ChatGPT is so I'm trying to run a few. I've got a few different startups, and I've got obviously enterprise DNA, and I've got a lot of things with enterprise DNA, but I'm having to reprompt the same stuff all the time when I want to go and do things, or when I want to talk strategy, or when I want to go and learn, evaluate a strategy with an enterprise DNA or with one of our apps or with whatever. I'm having to reprompt every single time, and and I'm getting different return like answers in return all the time because the prompts aren't the same. They're not, it's not equal. And so my thoughts is that this is also an opportunity to solve that issue. Um,
It solves it. You will never have to repeat that again. You'll
mm,
just say like implement strategy skill. And the amazing thing about it is it's not like a system prompt. So you're not
mm,
just loading a ton of shit into context,
mm,
every time. That what it does is it has this thing called progressive disclosure. And so it just loads 30 to 50 tokens. It's like a 500 character description of what the skill is and why it gets called. And that's
mm,
the only thing it loads. And so your context stays, totally clean
mm,
until it hits a trigger where either you say implement this skill or you kind of prompt in a way that indicates you want to use that skill. And then it'll say, okay, do you want to fire up the strategy skill? And what
mm,
it'll do is it'll load only those things it needs initially. So it's this progressive disclosure. And as you get deeper and deeper in, that's the nice thing about the modularity is you can run part of it and then say, okay, that's all I need. Um, we don't need to go to the report. And
mm,
um, and it won't drag that extra prompt and tools and you know context. It won't drag that um, into your active context.
mm,
And so, it's the way I think of it is kind of like a standard operating procedure. So if you had a new employee starting in Enterprise DNA and you were going to
mm,
train them about, implementing this process, it's the SOP you would give them, and they would just learn how to run that, every time. And
mm,
the interesting thing about this is we're not used to thinking of AI as being reliable enough to do that.
mm.
But when you set these skills up properly, they are just rock solid in terms of, just running. You'll reliably get the same end result from the process call.
Yeah, because that's quite big. That's going to be big in organizations, right? Is that the ability to get consistency? I bet you that's like one of the biggest issues with AI usage in organizations right now is this like everyone's trying to do similar things, but they're all doing them in slightly different ways. The prompts are slightly different, but this is just a way to sort of standardize and get a lot more consistency. But how is it different to GPTs, the concept of GPTs inside of ChatGPT? How is it
So
different?
a lot of it is that it's basically a much more sophisticated version of that in the
Right.
sense that it can call tools, it can bring in a large amount of additional context. It can run scripts, so you can run JavaScript, you can run Python, you can run R.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
you know,
mm,
you can you
mm.
can apply any sort of fixed script that you've set up in there. You can call APIs. I mean, and the thing is, you can run it. You can run it in the web interface. You can run it in the desktop. You can run it in Cloud Code.
You've obviously got to set up the system, which I'm big on. Like I
Right.
think we're going to be system creators now. But in terms of, because I presume you can almost create like, if you've got skills that are linking to other skills, creating reports. I mean, that's what you used to do. Like that's what I used to do 10 years ago. Like you used to get data, create a report, create information about the report, send the report. Like if you can create skills that do a lot of this, isn't that that's taking the human out of the loop in some of those historic workflows.
I mean, it's really interesting in the sense that you. I saw the post you did yesterday, and my response to it was, I feel like I'm getting kind of dragged, whether I like it or not, back into managing a team.
Mm,
Um, that. I really, with skills, once you set up a skill, there's really no need for you to do any of the implementation. That,
Mm,
in terms of running the analysis, you've already got the code written and validated. You've got all the instructions written in Markdown. You've got it all structured, and you just trigger it. And there's no point in you stepping in the middle of that. It's kind of like what we talked about last time, where you just want to get out of the way. And so what you end up doing is, I've spent like the last 8 hours, you know, supervising the project of building this evaluator skill. And then
mm,
what I've been doing also is running it on some of the skills that I've found online. There's already like 2,500, skills you can download online. And some of them are good, some of them are not. And so, that's kind of why I built this, is to kind of sort the wheat from the chaff. And so y- you have that, kind of upfront strategic responsibility and kind of defining the endpoints of the project and working with the, quote, the team to build it. And then you've got the responsibility of validating it and um, upgrading it and responding to, you know, user feedback, to your own use of it. But really, the middle part is kind of out of your hands at this point. And
mm, mm.
that, in some ways, that's the part a lot of us, I think, kind of think of as data analysis. But I mean, truth of the matter is, Claude can do it better than we can.
Yeah, yeah. And it might not look exactly the same, but it might be sort of the way I think about it sometimes is that it might be micro analysis. It might not build one massive report, but it might build a page, and then it might build another page, and then it might build another page. It might just do things in a completely different way. Just because we created, I mean, I remember back in the day, like I'd create all these VBA automations and then try create analysis in Excel and put it into PowerPoint. And then we move to Power BI. Like it just might not look like that. It might look just very different. It might be like running, an individual page of a dashboard and calling it an artifact and then doing the next artifact and then the next
Right.
artifact. It's just going to look completely different and probably I have no doubt it's going to be more efficient. I mean, I'm seeing it in the sort of app development space, like the coding space, like every single day. Like it's just things are going to be done in a slightly different way where you're just trying to insert the sort of AI systems into it and just figuring out the best way to utilize their capabilities within the to get a similar job done. It's like I keep coming to that it's not going to be about like using a tool and learning a tool anymore. It's going to be about building the systems to
Yeah.
actually get this done. That to me is just like the clear mental model that I think is starting to happen. It's starting to like really, really come to the fore.
And it really kind of gets back to that point that we were talking about before of modularity, which
Mm,
is you have to think of, it's not just about building one automation. It's
yeah.
kind of about automating your whole operation and think
Mm,
about, okay, what are the what are the overlapping tasks? What are the subtasks that are common across, five different reports that you create? And it's kind
mm,
of getting those all to share the same core, so you're not just repeating yourself over and over. And you really have to think about what it is you do on a daily basis and what are the things that are repeated, what take time. How would you, if kind of assuming you kind of snap your fingers and have these things done automatically, how would you structure them? And
mm,
that's really what I've been putting a lot of time and thought into, which is, you know, a lot of it comes down to, that whole distinction between, people being lumpers or splitters. And, this really rewards the splitters, I think, that you want to build kind of simple skills that do one thing,
mm,
and
mm.
then you can chain them together and,
Yeah.
kind of stack them up like Legos, snap them together in different ways. And it is just it is just kind of a revelation in terms of when you can build something that's reliable and dependable, and you can
Mm,
just get the AI to run it the same way every single time.
yeah.
It's kind of like what we were originally enamored with Power BI about, which is
Mm,
You can get it to update your data and run the exact same report. This is
Mm.
kind of that concept of Power BI, but related to everything.
Yeah. It was so magical when Power BI first came out. It's like one button press, refresh, boom, all
Right.
done. Like that was magic. That was totally magic. And I think this is the new magic. This is the new magic. This is undoubtedly the new magic across anything, anything like marketing, strategy, like
Yeah.
knowledge, like information, getting automations done, building apps. Doing analysis. This is the new stuff. Like AI is very good at just churning out and a lot, even today, even with its down, like even with things that it's not so good at, it's very good at well-defined tasks, very fast, very efficient. And a lot of what we do from a digital perspective, a knowledge worker perspective, a lot of what we've done is a whole range of like mini tasks, just lay it on, and we use our brain to
Yep.
like bring it all
Yep.
together and get it done. And so building that system, I think last time I mentioned my concept of intelligence operations. Like this is going to be a real thing. You're going to build these like well, you know, operational plants of like intelligence, to actually get stuff done, I think. And I think it's going to be amazing to see how that sort of evolves in an organizational level, isn't it? It's going to take time. It's very new, it's very different, but
Well, and the thing that's amazing about this is that it really like, once you've got it, set up right, it really is a couple of clicks to basically ingest somebody else's skill into your system.
right.
And so, yeah, I can show you if I can share here,
Yeah.
just
Hold
show
on.
you some of the repositories that have already been built. Um, okay, I think this is one of the big ones. Yeah, so this one's got 20, almost 2,300 skills. And you can go here in terms of um, web apps and development. So there's one here that is like Claude super skills. And this one's go. Let me
This is so interesting because I'm telling you, like, as I've learned a lot of like things about app development, I'm still not a coder per se, but I'm definitely an architect, an orchestrator of AIs now across all these skills within app development. It really is all of these micro tasks that you've got to do when you set things when you're working in these apps, right? Like, and this is exactly it's just basically breaking down all of those micro things that you can do. And there's also micro things that you can do on an ongoing basis. One of the things that we're struggling, like as our applications have matured, is that we need to do the QA testing, like quality assurance testing. And I'm sure there's a skill that can help us do that now, like instead of having to dream it all up and do it,
right.
we can get the skill to go and do, we can pre-program the skill to do it. So this is such like a solid evolution of, what AI can do one after the next.
Here we go. So you right there, you can just search for your QA skill. You can just
Mm.
evaluate that. You can plug
Yeah.
it in, and
And I
you've
guess you
got
could fork it.
all.
You could edit it as well. You could edit it and
Oh,
sort of.
absolutely. Yeah. It's all just basically markdown and scripts.
Mm.
And so it's all editable, it's all forkable. And yeah, so some of these are like the official Anthropic ones. So here's one on kind of internal communications and kind of setting up um
I wonder what
all your
ChatGPT,
internal
but what
pardon.
ChatGPT, I wonder what ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini, I mean, this is what these guys are going to do as well, right? Do you think they're going to call them skills also?
Well, I mean it's pretty interesting because Nate Jones he's done a lot on this, and he's actually figured out a way to get Claude skills working in GPT-5.
Ah, okay. Right.
So, again, there's nothing proprietary. I mean, the format is a standard that Anthropic is adhering to, but
Right.
given the fact that it's all just, plain text,
Mm.
you can actually as I say he's figured out if you go to his Substack, he's figured out a way to get it running, pretty nicely under GPT-5. It doesn't have quite the same, kind of slickness of interface and transferability, but the capabilities are largely the same.
So with this internal comms one, what does this enable you to do within, say, Claude? Like let's go through let's go through a couple of examples.
Um, so this has got so it's got basically the formats of newsletters, um, briefing memos, project updates, incident reports, and you
Yeah.
just say, basically, write me a company incident report, and use this information, and it'll put
Mm.
together. And oh,
So
one thing you can do is let's I think I've actually got this one loaded, and so what we can do is let's take a look.
well, so okay, so here's an example. Like, so I have this email, I have some email marketing that I do with Enterprise DNA, right? And I like to have my emails formatted in a very specific way. And then every single time I go and do this on a weekly basis, I need to copy in my email structure. Then I need to say, hey, can you, and here's all my other information that I want to put in the email. Can you please recreate this email so that it is in it has all my content, but is in the structure and style of my that I like. And so I guess with the skill, you could put that structure in a skill, and then you never have to prompt about that structure anymore. You can just say, hey, here are my notes, here are my things I want to add. Go and find this skill and go and recreate it. I guess that's kind of like one of the ways you could use this, right?
Exactly. And the thing that they've got is they've got a skill that helps you build skills. And
Yeah,
so all you have to do for something, that's really that simple is just just fire up the skill creator skill and
yeah,
say, I want to build an email skill, and here's the format. You can even give it a screenshot and say, here's an example of, my standard email format, and it'll just build it right out for you.
yeah. This
I'm just
is
kind of looking and seeing what the
yeah.
I'm seeing which ones I've got loaded. So because I've been loading up the ones I've been building. I've been loading up some of the Anthropic ones. So I want to see if I have that internal comms one. And if I do, we can just say one of the things that Kieran online has been talking about. I know he interacts a lot with your content. Is
Yeah,
Kieran Steele? Is he showed me this thing where it just says, "Build me something great with this skill." Um,
yeah.
so let me see which ones I've got. Okay, so here I'll okay, internal comms. Okay, build me something great with the internal comms skill. Oh, whoop. Do you do that? I find I'm in like the wrong window when I'm speaking sometimes.
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time. One the other day I was shouting at AI for getting something wrong, and I put it in my Teams chat with one of my team one of my team.
Let me just give it this instruction. Build me something awesome with the internal comms skill. And
Yeah,
we can just talk and
I
let it
do need
go.
to spend the time on this, particularly with our apps, because there is things that I want to do on a regular basis, like checking things. Um, Security things. Just our apps are just getting like particularly Help Jenny is getting we're getting some users now. We just can't, we just need to be on top of like so many different things. And we don't want to hire more, like we don't want to hire more people or increase our resourcing at all. So we got to use things like this to just evaluate everything in behind the scenes, like constantly. Um, and we don't so when we want to I presume you can probably get to a place where you can set these off automatically as well, like that's probably a next evolution if it's not already.
Yeah, yeah. And so what it's doing here is it it invoked the skill and then it said, "Oh, I remember we were working on that skill evaluator project. So let me draft a newsletter in the company style announcing that project." And
Mm.
so it's just working away, and pretty soon it'll have. And y- the great thing about it is you can give it vision, and so
Yeah.
through the playwright. And so what you can
Mhm.
do is you can say, okay, here's a photo of a one that I did the other day. Keep iterating on it until it exactly matches that style.
Crazy. Yeah,
And
this is huge. This is going to be so huge. It's just going to I think the issue. Well, I think Claude Code is very embedded in like dev workflows now, so it'll be huge there. I just don't think it's as big on the like consumer side or the general business side. I think ChatGPT is just dominating, and Copilot and Gemini. Um, but I guess the key learning for me is that they are absolutely going to do something. Like this is going to become very popular. So they're going to have something very, very similar. Very similar.
I think they really probably regret. I think they regret calling it Claude Code because it's such a good tool for so many things that
True. So true.
oh, here we go. What we can do, it's actually produce this. Let me just go down. I can just pop this open
I've heard
into.
that many times actually. I've heard like so many people are saying that Claude Code is not just for coding. It's actually for automation. It's for everyday controlling of your computer. Um,
Okay, so here's.
yeah, wow. This is sort of as good as any. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right.
so
Exactly.
that's just all automatic, and
Yeah.
you can set that, up however you want to structure it,
Yeah.
and that is completely replicable. That every time you run this, it's gonna create exactly the same format.
Mm. Yeah, that's huge, right? One of the other things that I've noticed lately that I was going to chat to you about, and this is actually quite an interesting concept around this. I prefer to get my news now from ChatGPT than any other source. Any other source. I, I've had my issues with LinkedIn. I still have those whenever I like go on there. I try not to go on X anymore because I feel like that just puts my mind feels like it's on AD like I've got ADD after I read that because it just like pulls you off in all these different directions. Um, and um, you know, I want to just read the things that I'm interested in, and I go to ChatGPT, I do the web search and I say, hey, I've been doing this like for the last couple of weeks. And I say, hey, what are the interesting things that have happened in AI overnight? What are the interesting things that I can do with Claude skills now? Like, what are people doing
Yeah.
with Claude skills? Like, I'm creating my own news. I'm creating my own news source, information source. This is very different to what I've done historically, and I much prefer it. It's actually what I want to see. It's actually what I want to read. It's in my perspective. It has the memories of my like what I'm doing. It knows who I am. It knows who I am. Um, so that's one of the realizations that I've had over the last couple of weeks is that I just much prefer it, and I've been constantly doing it, and it's been my main information source. It goes out and finds stuff that I'm interested in, curates it for me.
Are you using that? Have you ever tried using the ChatGPT Pulse?
I
Um,
don't actually think it's available in our area. I don't think it's available in New Zealand because I have not seen anything on it. It's not on any tiers of what we can purchase here.
oh, because that I actually downgraded back to the Plus from the Pro subscription. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's made it here to Plus yet, but it definitely is available in Pro, and the people I know who are using it, really really seem to like it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of it's like medium. Like I find like ChatGPT is like medium, but it's just things that I'm interested in. And
Yeah,
I can have a discussion because like medium is great. It's great, but again, you've got to find your way through the stuff you don't want to read or the headlines that are just trying to hook you in. Like, so much about the old internet was like the attention economy. It was like to get your attention, to get your click, you know. I was thinking about it. I was like, I'm kind of trying to opt out of that. I'm kind of like, I just want to craft my own thing. I don't want to
right.
be forced to click something, or I don't want them to hack my brain to have to watch the video or read an article that I just don't really care about or that has nothing to do with the headline. I actually just want to fill my mind and my day with things that I'm actually interested in. And you can do that with the AI systems with web search, particularly ChatGPT.
You know, I mean, really from the earliest days of the internet. I mean, I remember when the first linking up to the internet in the early 90s, and there was something you could subscribe to every week that would list all the new sites that had come out on the internet that week. And it was only list like 50. And so,
Mm,
it was manageable. And I think about the value of that curation has persisted from that moment of kind of inception of the public internet to today, that trusted curators, people, either people or systems you can rely on to provide you the content you like and you value with a minimum of hassle. That is incredibly valuable. I mean, the
mm,
people on LinkedIn, who I follow, who, kind of curate stuff, and every week or every couple of weeks, whether it's, you know, job notices or articles or videos or, whatever it is, that they do the hard work in sifting through the dreck and providing you the really good stuff. And to the extent that AI can now do that, that is an enormously valuable function.
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, one of the other things that I've done, one of the things I have done that you recommended is I've been trying to ask AI, like talk to AI, like over 100 times a day. I mean,
Yeah,
I would
it's hard
easily
to
get,
do. I mean, unless you're
yeah.
unless you're coding it, that's a lot of
So
conversation.
what I did to like really force this into me is I bought these little things and I put them right next to my desk. I put my iPad onto it, and then I have my iPad. So I have my computer where I'm doing that coding. And then if I have a question, I just pop over to my iPad on the stand, and then I just start talking to ChatGPT. And so that's how I've been like trying to increase my cadence of asking ChatGPT. And then I've got, and then I ask it app development things. Ask it some strategy things. I ask it um, general knowledge things if I'm trying to figure something out. But it's just like I don't have. I just have to reach my arm over. I don't have to like do anything too much. I don't need to click between a different tab or anything. I don't need to lose my focus on my screen. So I've been finding that that's actually really been helping me. And so, I've been just trying to. I just think it's just if you can just ingest or just get to the yeah if you can just the more volume of like it just helps. I think it will accumulate the gains, the benefits will accumulate over time. And I really have been trying to, instead of getting distracted on, say, social media or anything like that, or even YouTube, I try and focus on this. I try and focus on, okay, let's just get some, your strategic thinking going. Let's try and get your
Yeah.
focus going. Let's try and, learn more about app development. Let's try and learn how to, you know, about anything that I need to learn about. Um, yeah, there's just so much information to gain to be had and to gain and insights and I think it's top tier. I really do. I think it's really, really top tier stuff. I'm a believer that the advice and the ideas that I'm getting are top tier. And I'm just trying to flood myself. I'm trying to flood my brain with just like top tier ideas and thoughts. And, I know the opportunities out there, right? And it's like, okay, if I, the other day I asked, okay, what do you, th I asked, say, I was on the skills thing. I wanted to learn more about skills. And I was like, what do you think the opportunities are around skills? What does this mean? What are the what does it mean that you can link one skill to another skill? Like, what is that going to do within organizations? I was just like really digging into that sort of deep dive was not possible before unless you surrounded yourself with very, very capable and like intelligent people who are like at the sort of top
Right.
end of the knowledge on specific things, right? But now we have access to, something comes out the next day, it can sort of bring that concept and tie it into a lot of other things, that a lot of other permutations that could occur based on that change. And I think being able to plug into that is just hugely beneficial. And that's just one small example of anything, really.
Well, I think it was Connor Grenham who was talking about, it's like learning a foreign language that you don't become fluent in a foreign language just by occasionally reading it. You
Mm,
become fluent by just speaking it morning, noon, and night. And I think AI is the same way that if you do what you do and what I do, which is just, every time I open my browser, it opens up to, an AI window. And, I've got my iPad, here, set up on, ChatGPT. I've got a Claude window up, up on the other screen. And,
mm,
I'm just constantly, I'm trying to get that 100 reps a day. And, I've got
mm,
the MCP tracker that I built, that I've kind of wired into
mm.
um, all my different models. So it all kind of aggregates together and, tells me what percentage I'm using this model versus that model, how many times a day, and just trying to kind of get a mindset of, just getting those reps in and getting fluent.
Yeah.
And, as you were saying, kind of, when we talked last time, you were really urging me to dive in more on GPT-5, and I've done that to some extent. And one of the things that you were talking about Medium, there was a really good article about kind of setting up side by side Codex and Claude Code structures, and so I've started doing that, and that's really interesting because they have, as you talked about, very different styles, and so
Mm,
it's kind of like having two really smart developers or engineers with very different perspectives. And
mm.
I've found when you throw Claude Code into the ultra think planning mode, and then you run what it produces through Codex GPT-5 High, you get stellar input.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I still haven't used, I've been using Claude Web a little bit lately, actually. And I love the Claude Code Web interface
Yeah.
is it's simpler than Codex. Like it's simpler than Codex, even though I've got access to both. And if I'm on the road or if I'm just like remote or if I'm at a cafe or whatever, um, I can just quickly plug in if I've got a question. If something comes to my mind, I don't need to bank that and just like wait till I get on my computer. I can just quickly ask it in Claude Code, and then when I'm back on my computer, I can just like quickly get into the next thing if I've had to really think something through. And it's certainly I wouldn't say I prefer to use it to actually make changes on a code base. I don't actually, but to find information about a code base, if there is a small error, you can go and try and fix it. If there's very small things that you can do, it's very good at like very precise things. But in terms of how it operates, it's not really vibe. You're not really vibe coding. You're not really agentic coding or anything. You're just doing like edits. You're doing small edits one after the other. It's very hard to go and make big changes to, the design of your website or how functionality works in your website because it's just not as you're not getting the local machine response. Like you can't actually see the changes like in real time, like you can when you're developing on your machine. So there's massive pros to it. And it's definitely been a part of my workflow over the last couple of weeks. But I still am spending most of my time in the IDE still using Claude Code, I've been using Haiku 4.5 a
Yeah.
lot as well because it's just so
It's so
quick.
fast.
It's just so damn fast. Um, and that's
It's
a big
really, it's
sign.
quite smart.
Yeah, yeah. That is a big sign. I'm telling you, that is a big sign, I think. How fast that is. It's just unbelievable how fast it is. But it's not as smart as the other models, but it can do just stock standard tasks ultra fast. Ultra fast. Like
Yep.
there's a lot of things you do on repeat with these agentic tools, like getting GitHub codes to go and push your changes, to refactor files, to um, I don't know, create sort of generic boilerplate things. Like
Right. Documentation.
yeah, it can create all that stuff. It's just so rapid. It's unbelievable. Um, and yeah, so I'm using I'm using a bunch of digital workers doing different things, right? You're an
Yeah.
orchestrator. You're a true orchestrator. It's not just like, I'm sort of using Claude Web here. A Claude Code Web for not things when I'm on the go. I'm using ChatGPT to learn about things. I'm using Sonnet and Opus to do stuff, agentic coding. I'm using Haiku for certain things. It's a complete orchestration that you I don't know. It's hard to say you should do it exactly like this because I'm just like learning all the time and it's changing all the time.
Yep.
Um, but it definitely is like it is an acquired skill, I think, like to sort of manage all these things.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of liken it to, the circus plate spinners. Kind of how
Mm.
many plates can you spin at the same time? And I'm only up to two. I can bounce between, one Claude code and one codex. You've sometimes got four and five going at the same time. That makes me crazy.
I'll tell you, yesterday I had three IDEs open on three different projects, and then I had about 10 tabs open in each different one. And I was just like on fire.
I can't do.
I was just on fire. I was just like going through things because there's times on certain development tasks or parts of your projects that you're working on where you can just fully vibe. You can just like fully just like pump it out. Where it just doesn't matter if it makes a mistake or whatever. But on certain things that you're doing. And so I was working on a few of those. It wasn't like I was doing like highly risky edits on a very mature app. Like I was like sort of kickstarting a website, front end design, and I'm just like motoring through ideas, and I'm just like you know, improve this, improve that. I don't like this. Go and change that. And so you can just pump those out. Like you can just as fast as you can talk, the more you can do. So, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I think it's kind of like, weightlifting or exercise, you kind
Yeah,
of build up to it over time. You get stronger, you kind of build your muscles for it over time. And,
yeah,
at this point, I can only lift two at a time, and I think that over time you get more skilled in terms of, okay, I know that this one's going to be running for a while. And so I can dedicate my energy to this one. And I've got haiku running here. And I just have to glance at that, every once in a while, while that goes through. And you learn how to juggle, a lot better. But um, yeah, even, I mean, in some sense, that kind of optimizing, kind of obscures the fact that even if you've got it running in one window and you're just paying attention to one thing at a time, what you can accomplish I mean, over the last 8 hours, I have a skill that has over 5,500 lines of code, that I've iterated on six times, and it runs flawlessly.
mm,
Um, I've got a 2.0 roadmap through January of, how I want to update it. Um,
great.
that was basically just, me and Claude Code in one window, for 8 hours. And even that, it's like, if I had your ability to, run, three IDs of, 10 windows each, I probably could have cut that down to, 5 or 6 hours. But even so, it's like, at that point, it's just, it's kind of rounding error versus what you would need to, to do in a world where this didn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way that I'm using all the tabs all the time. Like, there's just no way. But I'm ambitious in trying to get as many things going is I just want the AIs to just be working while I'm not talking to them. Like that
Yeah.
is that is like my like North Star, you know, like these are devices that can do stuff, you know, these are they can actually execute and get things done. If we can find ways, and I'm sure systems will evolve and people will work out how to build these systems. I want to work out how to build these systems where you just get compute going all day, every day, doing stuff for you, getting stuff done. You know, this is where I think this is how you know can win in the digital space going forward. Like this is how, you know, you're leveraging yourself. I'm a true believer that entrepreneurship is about to boom. It's about to absolutely boom, you know? Like there's just going to be so many ways as a individual or a very, very small team that you can scale yourself like crazy. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable.
I was thinking about that last night. I was talking to a friend who is, kind of, one person army. And it's had this company for like 20 years of helping nonprofits with their fundraising. And I was thinking about, kind of the Claude skills paradigm and everything, and in terms of what she could do in terms of some of the data analysis and kind of data cleaning on surveys and qualitative data that come in to her,
Mm,
and the ability to kind of do that in an automated way and build those automations.
mm,
It's like I think about the way in which she could leverage her time. Now I really want to just have a chat with her and just say, I just want to show her some of this stuff because,
mm,
the possibilities for somebody who, is just, kind of that, that one person do everything. Um,
mm.
I think it's just kind of exploding opportunities for people in that situation.
Yeah. And like we're so early and like up the curve on this as well. Like I keep having interactions with other people I know in my community and family and stuff. It- so I don't think anyone has the time to really learn this stuff or do this stuff in a lot of cases, you know, like we're quite in a rare position to sort of see and because you know I've yeah I've been interacting with a lot of people over the last 6 months, 9, 12 months even that just don't know that any of this stuff is happening.
Right.
That this stuff exists. It's so early. It's just so early, and it's going to take a while. It is very transformative, but it's going to take a while for it to feed through because a lot of people just won't want to build it. They won't have the time to build it, and they'll need people to come in and do it for them. They'll need
Right.
implementation experts, or they'll need to be able to purchase these things off the shelf to get you know to get them implemented. Um, you know, I think that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to need to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's, it's really like in some ways going back to the early days of the internet, in
Mm,
terms of, where people didn't understand how to download and install programs and extensions and,
mm,
how
mm,
to leverage, being able to browse the web and multimedia. And
mm,
I think, all that stuff is kind of coming back around in terms of, it's this whole new paradigm for kind of a very similar thing.
mm,
That, people that, kind of those of us kind of out in front, see it all unfolding as it happens. But I think, the vast majority of people, are still, back where we were, a year ago, kind of, using chatbots and asking questions. And,
yeah,
it's like, when I tell them, it's like, oh, you're not going to believe what's coming,
yeah.
in terms of,
So,
kind of how much more sophisticated things are getting. One of the things that I think was one of the most interesting things I saw in the past couple of weeks is there's a channel. It's a guy, I can't remember his name. It's Matt something. And the channel is Metal Soul, Metalsole. And
mhm,
he's a software developer, but he's a really good presenter. And he has a good big picture view. And he did a thing about, kind of why is the CLI kind of exploded as this kind of tool of choice. And it
mm,
was really fascinating because I kind of wondered that myself. I even remember doing a post saying, wow, the one thing I did not see coming was that my 1983 DOS skills were going to come back in fashion. you
mm,
know And he did this really interesting breakdown of why the CLI has become such a dominant thing. And you know, I found it really interesting in the sense that part of it is the quick turnaround aspect. Um, and he said, and it really resonated with me in the sense that he said, when you start getting into interfaces and buttons, you making those kind of changes takes time. And especially when you've got, a web version and a desktop version and a,
Mm,
code version. He said, that all becomes a big task to manage. Whereas, CLI, you can just make changes, and I think you're seeing that, which is that Anthropic is just dropping bombs every couple of days, I mean, major upgrades. I think Codex is doing similar, maybe not quite at the same pace.
mm,
And so that was one of the things. But the other thing that um, really struck me about what he said is that you can, it's the first way to really um, kind of capture your customers on your platform, which is that, each of these models is trained really specifically to the Claude code works much better with Claude. I've tried actually running it on different models like, Quinn and, Gemini and stuff. It doesn't run nearly as well. And I think Codex is the exact same way that
mm,
you've got this interface that's very easily, adaptable and you can kind of train and retrain and update and kind of the development cycle is so fast
mm.
that you can kind of keep advancing this in a way that is tied specifically to your model.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, for me, it was interesting because I posted a lot about kind of remaining uncaptured by a particular model. Everything I'd done up to recently was not to get pinned down by a particular company.
Mm,
And
mm.
this is the one thing, at least for me, I think for you to some extent, that's that's been successful in tying us down. And I thought
Yeah.
that was a really, he said it's not that the CLI is going to probably remain the dominant interface, forever, but
Mm,
at this point, with how fast things are moving, um, he said it really fits nicely into that strategy. And I thought it was a really thought-provoking analysis.
yeah. I want to, yeah, just following on from that, I want to just showcase you something that's so interesting, right? This is why these companies are moving so fast. This is why. Okay. Look at Claude Code. Look how simple this UI is. Think about
Yeah.
you could recreate this in 30 minutes with an AI tool, like in terms of the design of it, right? Like maybe even less than that. I mean, if you got it to iterate with Playwright and in Claude Code like itself, you could probably recreate this UI in under 5 minutes, probably. Just the UI. There's obviously a lot of things going on in behind the scenes here when you like chat to it and stuff like that. But this is why they're able to move so fast because they're building software that has very little things to it. Like there's just in terms of the just the experience, right? And I also found it really interesting this is so damn simple, but I come back here every day. So the complexity in software does absolutely nothing for you anymore. It does nothing. Like a lot of these tools that are complex, and you just think about Microsoft's tools or Salesforce's tools or I don't know any historic tool with a lot of buttons and a lot of things to do. Like it is kind of detracts from how easy and simple it can be. You know. Um, yeah, I mean, maybe it's not always a like for like comparison, but I just remarked like during the week or the last like 10 days or something, like how damn simple this website actually looks and feels, how effective it is. Like it's seriously effective. And it captures me. It captures me. Like, maybe historically software used to capture you because you had to go do a $5,000 course to learn how to use it. But that sort of paradigm is like completely over. It's completely over. We're going to tools like this. We're going to tools like Claude. We're going to tools like ChatGPT. I mean, all of these things are just super simple, right? They're super simple for on the outside. You know, the actual experience is super, but they just get you. It's speed to do something. It just so quickly to go and actually do something. And I'll just show you. I don't know if you can see this, but so I'm actually like everything that we build now. Can you see content lead? Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
So everything, so we just reinvented this over the last couple of weeks because we were going down this
I
road.
like the look of it. It's got a nice it's just got a nice style to it.
So I was using it a month ago and I just like threw my hands on my face and going, this is too complicated. This is too complicated. It's just like, even though it was useful, I was just like, this is not as simple as this. You know, this is the direction that software's going. It's like you've got to just have someone log in. It was very actually just another example. It's why Lovable was so successful as well. You logged in, you went to the home page, and boom, you started creating in one go. You know, this is the way things are going. This is the way things need to be, you know? And
Well, it's funny because it's like I look at when you say it's that simple interface. I look at that and I go, ooh, fancy, because I'm just running everything from terminal.
well, that's even simpler. That's even simpler. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just literally a bar of like right chat. Like this is the direction that all software is going. Like software that is not, I think people will be like, well, first of all, it democratizes everything. It democratizes anyone who can use it, right? Um, but yeah, I think this is certainly the direction that everything is going to go. And I'll show you. So I was like, okay, we're going to chat. We're just fully going to chat. We're not going to have the user have to do anything when they log in, right? So you log in, you can set up a brand, like a brand that you connect to your social accounts, okay? And then this is our setup now. Like you literally come in here and you say, you know, can you help me create a post on Claude skills and how this could be a significant change in how work gets done within organizations? And what this does is it takes in the brand of our your brand voice, and then it creates posts for you based on all of the different social accounts that you have connections to. But all you're doing is you're just like typing. You're just typing. It's like kind of like Claude Code, but it's a content creation side of it, right? And then you can come in here and you can say, can you make this more like a LinkedIn post? I like to um, say things from my own perspective. And then you go. So it's using haiku, by the way. That's why it's so fast. And then you go sync, and then it creates a post suitable to all the different platforms.
Wow. Wow.
Easy, right? And um, and then you can add like an image like this, and then go sync. And so just like that, you can create posts across all like you can connect to any. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like this is how simple it needs to be. It's like no like very just talking, and it gets it done, and then you go publish, and then you select the date, and then you schedule it. Boom. This is
That's
the way that
amazing.
software is going, right? This is absolutely the way that software is going. And so I just like a month ago, I told my developers, look, we're changing this whole thing. We're going to chat. Everything's got to be chat. Everything's got to be voice. Yeah, that's what I think you got to do. And I think this is like I guess what I wanted to highlight is that this is where things are going. This is what you got to build. And we've also worked out a way to embed all of this stuff inside of ChatGPT too. So I'll hopefully have a good demo for you shortly as well. So you can do exactly all of that stuff I just showed you. You can actually do it within ChatGPT. You don't even have to leave ChatGPT.
Yeah. And it was interesting you had Cloud Skills up there because what you could do is you could basically build a link either through API or MCP
Hmm.
where you can just have a skill that manipulates that whole system.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly, because if we can uh, that's the big thing about MCP as well, is that you could even create posts within Claude Code if you want, and then connect via MCP to schedule your posts like with just talking. Schedules. You could say, write me a post on this. You could be in Claude Code. You could be in the CLI, and you can say, write me a post on this, and then schedule it. Create an image for me as well, and then schedule it tomorrow at 9 a.m. And then it will just go and do it for you. Claude will help write and configure everything. It will call the MCP, and then the MCP will call our APIs, and then our APIs will go and do the magic in the behind the scenes. Like you just think about the productivity gains on that. It's just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane, right?